Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to F1 Manager. This is episode 103. We've got a couple points, attribute points, to give to our drivers. Let's go ahead and add those in now. We've already got our 90-90 for braking and control for Pourchaire. Should be seeing his mistakes come down. We're going to get cornering up to 85, and then we've got Jack Doohan still working on his 90-90. He's got an 87 now in braking. Shouldn't be seeing those mistakes so frequently anymore with him. We've entered a new research period, and we finished the first of the 4 active upgrades. A couple of them are going to be done over the course of this race weekend as well, so we're going to be able to cycle that through relatively quickly. This is a side pods upgrade. We've also reached the point in time we are done with car upgrades for the year. We're not doing any more. We're going to try to hang on to our lead. And others, you can see they're still bringing the current upgrades to the car. We've gone from first down to a 245 and a 355 and a 511. Engine cooling was, I think, 11th. It's now 16th. Brake cooling has stayed put, though. Top speed is down to 3.3. So we're losing across the board. But we're still in good shape. We're still going to be competitive. And as long as even if we're not getting race wins down the stretch here for the last portion of the season, if we're still getting podiums or top 5s, we'll get enough points to hold off any challenges. Committing extra MAU hours and wind tunnel hours to the front wing, as it's that 70% one and everything else is 50%, trying to get that front wing back into a strong position for next year and cover off. You can see research benefit wise, we were at 0.24. That'll put us at 0.35 out of a total loss of 1.06. So we've got a long ways to go yet. We're really just hitting a third of the way. That's it. That's all we're gonna have gotten, all we have recovered up to this stage. But we're gonna keep trucking away. Right before we begin practice for the weekend, we do have a rear wing research project done as well. So we'll go ahead and get our second upgrade going, using a third of the time that we have remaining, so we'll get 2 more full-time upgrades. We're doing our first research project on the chassis. That was the last regular this year car upgrade that we completed, and at almost 4%, this is really the first of 8 to 9 upgrades required to get back the losses for the year. So just getting started on that project. There's not that many races for the year, so there is no way we're going to get the car back to where it was. It's going to incur quite a bit of loss, and it's definitely going to carry over into next year. The big question, though, is where we're at compared to everybody else at the start of the year. How much ground have we recovered versus how much ground have they recovered? One noteworthy element is we are going to start from a slightly higher position than most of our opponents. Though I suppose that is starting to change right now, right? If they're doing current upgrades, we're going from first, down to third or fourth or fifth. So all of a sudden, we're not the best car. You take 50% off the best car and 50% off the worst car, well, the gap shrinks. But if you were 10%, which it's not, it's super close, but let's say you're 2% ahead of the car behind you, and then you take 50% away, now you're only 1% ahead of the car. But that 1% is still a little bit better than what they have for a start point. So we do want to keep that in mind as we go forward. We are coming from a good start point. And even if others get to a better start point as this season goes on, how many research projects are they completing when they're working on this year's car? So the more I see us drift back down the grid order, the further ahead we'll be next season. We're heading to Monza for the weekend. And we had a 1-2 finish last year with Pourchaire a good 5 seconds ahead of Doohan, who finished just over a second ahead of Verstappen in this one.
Welcome to life in the fast lane. We're here at Monza in Italy, the home of Ferrari. But who will take home the points this weekend? Let's find out as we get started with the Italian Grand Prix.
Flying lap, Q3. Let's see what we can do here. 4th and 5th is all we managed in our first run, but of course that was the U set. And they put up identical times Pourchaire, crossing the line first. So he's currently P4 as we make our way through this lap. Green sector 1 for Pourchaire, green for Doohan, both improving their times. They're going to have to do more than just improve if we're going to move up the order, as we're more than 2 tenths down on Guan Yu Zhou in our current state of things. But both drivers green through the first 2 sectors, closing that gap. Verstappen stays top. Russell is there. Magnussen has also gone top. So right now we've got a row 3 lockout, but Pourchaire takes P2 by 4. How does Doohan not improve? Doohan does not improve his time. What happened at the end? But Pourchaire, P2, 4 1,000ths of a second off pole.
I hope I'm not tempting fate here, but there are quite a few clouds overhead as we look at the lineup on the grid. Looking now at the Williams. A second place start for them today. They're in with a real chance. And looking at the second Williams car. A top 10 position today, but will they be able to capitalise on it? Everything's been building to this. Here we go. It's the Italian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
I'm going for what I think is a bit of a bold strategy call as Pourchaire slow off the line and struggling towards P3 with Doohan in P6 right now. 3 wide through the first chicane. And we're going to come out of that potentially fighting for P2 as Russell on the softs has gone from 3rd to 1st. And we are challenging Verstappen now for P2. I'll be happy with P2 right now. Here's what I'm doing with this strategy call. Medium to hard. Here, this track,
And there's an overtake from Williams.
overtakes are possible. Overtakes are very possible as Pourchaire almost ahead of Verstappen now, and ultimately has finally gotten ahead of him. Tires are going to fall off the cliff and lose significant time. Right now, we're on the back foot compared to those on the softs. But given a handful of laps, they're going to lose their edge, they're going to lose their advantage, and towards the tail end of the stint, we're going to be significantly faster. I think with the addition of DRS, we're going to easily keep up with them while they're quick, and as they slow down, we're going to end up moving ahead and potentially pulling away a little bit. And then same on their second stints. They're going to be fast for a while, but I think we're going to maintain a better pace. Let's see if I'm right. Doohan, more than a second behind though. That's definitely not where we want him to be. 1.4, no DRS. Pourchaire has overtaken Russell and taken the lead. Inside a second. But at the DRS zone is when he gets within it, not at the detection zone. So with DRS, he slips back a little bit again, back down to 1.1. Ricardo, 1.4 behind. Now he has the problem. We pulled 3 cars with us, but not the 4th, not the group further behind. Fuel seems to recover pretty well here. Doesn't take too long. Nearly have Norris out of DRS range, and Ricardo's falling back. Doohan now with the fastest lap. Wow. Oof. Norris nearly gets into our rear end on that one. He came in so hot. He was 9.8. He was almost a full second behind. And in the braking zone, suddenly went to less than 1/10 of a second behind us. Front 9 pulling away. Multiple cars have crashed. Sector 2. There's an Aston Martin involved. Signs in the McLaren. The one hit the Aston Martin that hit him. Not sure which one yet. Somebody has picked up a penalty. Giovinazzi. Local yellows was all we got. Both cars able to continue on. Giovinazzi's going to be heading into the pits here, I'm sure. Here he is off back, and he does head into the pits. His race is completely ruined without safety car. as he
there's
is
an
going to be
overtake
well
from
behind
Williams.
Pourchaire, back ahead of Russell into P2. Being tire compounds. Russell, Show on the softs, Perez on the softs, Ocon, Bottas, and Stroll on the softs. Giovinazzi has already put on hards. It's weird how turn one, how much ground somebody can seemingly make up. Wow, cannot harvest for very long here. Perez has lost the train in 9th place and is starting to slip back. And then all of a sudden he closes it up. He was 1.9 and then all of a sudden he was less than a second, but he went right back out. It re-extended 1.9, 2 seconds now. And Doohan gets around Guan Yu Zhou into 4th position with Pourchaire leading. So we do have some decent pace here. And Perez losing that train is definitely going to hurt his long term. He, I believe, is one of those on the yes, he is one of those on the softs. And looking at how they're doing, those guys look like they're going to pit quite soon. 40% and pace dropping off relatively quickly. Pourchaire and Doohan somehow, Pourchaire slipping back down 3rd place. Russell does not have the pace right now, so Doohan should be... Multiple cars have crashed. Pourchaire, that's his overtake. I want to see the crash. Pourchaire into the race lead.
Doing what you're doing.
Who's that just crashed? Let's see what happened there.
Somebody's picked up a penalty.
Let's look. We're watching Nicholas Latifi.
Latifi trying to go through the chicane together, and they just come together slightly, that's all. Not much harm in that one. Schumacher with the penalty. Latifi, the one hit, apparently. Was it that way around? Not sure. Doohan. Russell's already down to 5th. Magnussen got around him as well. Russell and Zhou, Perez all starting to drop down the order. Ocon, Bottas, Stroll struggling as well. Definitely starting to lose some ground. Sainz and 15th on back, well behind. Perez quickly from in the train to now almost 6 seconds back. And then Albon is a few seconds further back. You can see just how slow those softs are at this point. Russell staying within DRS for now, but he's going to have to pit soon and does now. So does Zhou, so does Perez. And they come back out, right there in traffic. Big group backing each other up. Stroll comes back out 18th. First wave of pits are done. 20 laps are done. Doohan. Magnussen gets a huge run and overtakes both Pourchaire and Doohan on the same straight. Talk about some momentum. Norris 2 seconds down, so Norris and Leclerc lose the train after those pit stops, and that's going to hurt their position. We are not pitting yet. Pourchaire into the race lead. Doohan is 4th.
Williams there gaining several places in one go.
And then Magnussen goes through. A lot of yo-yoing in the front 4. Only 6 cars have yet to pit. Russell is the one we want to compare to. Russell 123.5, 122.6. Those guys are quicker than us. But what are they on? Mediums. Mediums for Russell and for Zhou. Leclerc on the hards. What is his pace like? 122.9. They're still over a second a lap faster than we are right now. We've already extended by a few laps. Doohan, we're going to hang on to a little bit longer for him. Pourchaire peels off into the pits. Doohan moves up to P3. Leclerc just went purple sector 1. 2.68. That's a slow stop at this point in the season. 2.5 is where we normally are, so that's nearly 2/10 off the pace. And we come out in traffic. 3 cars coming out ahead of us. Zhou, Russell, and Leclerc in DRS comfortably. Zhou leading the train. 5 cars left that are out there. Gasly well behind. Norris 2.5 seconds. His gap is slowly growing. And then Verstappen, Magnussen, and Doohan are staying there. Doohan, I'm going to keep him with those two for a while. I'm going to keep him with them for a while. Perez is now 9 seconds behind this. That's how much ground he lost. Soft compound, not going well for most of those who are on it. But Pourchaire's track position, not great. I think Doohan could absolutely wait a number of laps, any number of laps, and come out behind this and catch up to it pretty quick with fresher tires. We almost want to pit before Verstappen and Magnussen, though, so we have the track position on them, assuming that they might try to go for the medium to soft strategy. And as we're not going to be doing that, already we're past halfway, so he's not going to have to go that long on the hards. We have a nice window to Perez, but I think we are starting to run out of time. Let's go ahead and make that stop. 22 laps to go. And no, we're not going to do the softs. We don't have them. They don't have the pace. Doohan comes out 2.63, and he stops the same time as Magnussen. They stopped together. Glad we came out ahead of him. We had a quicker pit stop and didn't get held up. As amazing as that was. 6.8 seconds behind. That was a good time to pit because you wait a couple more laps, Perez is going to be ahead of us. We're 7 seconds back, but we're going to have some pace. And with Magnussen, they're going to close up on those guys. He's 12% better off on the tire wear. Now Pourchaire has the ability. Norris now pits as well. Oh, and he's using the softs, which means he's really going to fall off at the end of the race. Let him be fast right now. Let Magnussen get ahead of us. We'll have the DRS to go with him. And as we've already seen, those softs will fall off in the last 5 laps of the race. They'll be quite easy to beat at that point. And for now, he'll use his pace and the DRS to yank us up to those guys ahead, where we'll have an advantage over them with the fresher tires. But those guys won't be quite as easy to overtake as Magnussen will. Verstappen into the pits. Norris came out 4.3 seconds behind us. I would imagine Verstappen will come out behind us as well. But maybe oh, wow, he came out ahead of us. How did he manage to do that? How did he manage to do that after 2 laps, 3 laps? No idea how he held on there, but okay. 6.4 seconds behind. Verstappen at the head of the group. What did he opt for? Please be softs. It is. It is. Doohan's in a good spot here by being on the hards. I think he really is. It's going to work out better for him. Meanwhile, Zhou and Russell are going to struggle on the mediums as well. So Leclerc, Pourchaire, Doohan, quite possibly in the best positions at this point. But Magnussen drops to 9th. He was right there with me. Verstappen locks up as well, and Doohan is by himself. Doohan 7 seconds back. The front 4, Zhou, Russell leading the way for now, but Leclerc, Pourchaire will be in a better state later. I'm just going to be patient. To get past 3 drivers, we can't wait till the last lap, but we can certainly wait. By the way, this is going to be the only race for this episode. I always record Monday through Friday. It's Saturday. My wife's birthday was yesterday. Had a lot going on. And had the release of Tour de France. Had the release of Pro Cycling Manager with the new additions for the year. Doohan not closing up the way I thought he would. Not closing up the way I thought he would. But he is holding off Verstappen at 2.5 seconds. Perez at 2 seconds. Norris just behind Perez, and Magnussen now in 9th place. He's 5 seconds back. He's got a train behind him. 6.5, Doohan. Starting to make up some ground. Did they drop off? Not yet, but they will drop off soon. Verstappen's caught up to Doohan. But he's on the softs. We'll leave him in the dust at the end. For now, he's fast. But he's at 68%. Once he drops to 60, he won't be fast any longer. So that's coming real soon. They'll get ahead of us for the time being. Multiple cars have crashed. Safety car. Do I want to pit? Oh, it's Leclerc. It's Leclerc, folks. Porsche into the race lead. Oh, let's have fun. Let's have fun. We're going to pit. Russell with a penalty. Leclerc going backwards.
Okay, it's a safety car.
DRS is currently disabled. DRS is currently disabled.
We can take a look now. Watch
It's
this.
Leclerc, it's Russell.
There's
We know
Leclerc.
that. Happens right in front of us. Big lockup. We just
Goodness
missed
me,
getting caught up in
is
that.
a serious collision.
We're going to give up some track position here. Doohan runs wide under the safety car conditions. You're definitely giving something up here, folks. But how much track position are we actually going to give up? I don't think it's a lot. I think we should come out ahead of Magnussen with Doohan. Porsche, harder to say just how far back he'll drop, but too late now. Ah, see, everybody's pitting. Everybody but Verstappen. Porsche, 2.5 and gets going again. Doohan, he's in. 2.6 and he gets going again. Neither one held up in traffic. Whoa, Porsche run completely off the track there. But he's going to come back out in third place. Doohan somehow comes out in ninth. There was a bunch of cars that didn't pit ahead of him. So Porsche, great strategy call. He's going to come out in P3 with two guys on 65% use softs losing a lot of pace. We know that they drop off. And we're going to be good to go till the end of the race. Pushing. Doohan, though, that's a lot of cars to overtake. A lot of cars. Zhou's in good shape at 86%. But Albon, Ricciardo, Gasly's going to drop off at least. Ricciardo, Albon aren't going to have a lot of pace. He'll make progress, but it's going to be hard to get. Coming around the final turn, Doohan is who we ride with instead of Porsche. He's got an easier chance of making some overtakes early, and he's going to get up the inside into turn 1, and he's still got work to do, but he'll have the traction to get the job done. He's around Gasly. That's up to P8. Porsche still sits P3, but he is challenging Norris right now, and he is up into P2.
Just gained by
Right where I want him to be. Lap 44 of 53 here. We're going to be starting lap 45 after the Parabolica. We'll be there shortly. Albon, the one who's not on softs, but the fresher softs, first, third, fourth are slow. Porsche already managing to challenge Verstappen here without us even trying, without the DRS yet. We just crossed the finish line, so he won't have had DRS, and he's around Verstappen into the lead. So, time to push the fuel.
Reduce the lift and core.
Russell, after his penalty, is P10. Leclerc's out of the race. Perez is P11. Ferrari right now have no points. Of course, the only challenger we're really worried about anymore at all is Red Bull. And with Russell out of the points and Doohan starting to make his way through the field, getting up the inside of Guan Yu Zhou. But Porsche pulling away from Verstappen a bit. DRS helps pull him back, but fuel up's enough with him and the compound compared to everybody else. Speaking of how these guys doing, 49, 49, 42. Zhou at 69, Doohan at 68, Albon at 64. We're going to lose pace more than he will when we fall below 60. Russell's up to P10. 1 point for Red Bull. Right now, we're definitely set to outscore them. Lap 48. Whoa, getting up beside Albon. Overtake on? No, you're just going to give that right back to him as you get up beside him. Go neutral. We'll go neutral. We're going to have to get that overtake done on Albon here shortly if we're going to have any more positions beyond this one. Balanced for a little bit, standard for a little bit. Got to close up on Guan Yu Zhou. Half a second behind, already 7/10 ahead of Albon. Well, Albon That was a game glitch. Albin was 9/10 of a second behind me, and then he glitched in front of me. We've seen turn 1 be a little wonky on braking zone, but Albin was 9/10 of a second behind. I was literally watching it. He was 9/10 of a second behind. We so almost had him out of DRS range, and then he just shot in front of us. And in fact, it even had switched to 1.3 for a moment there. So he was drifting further back, and then all of a sudden he's just ahead of us again. And that way, Verstappen now 4/10 behind, so Porsche is slowly pulling away from him. But doing extra challenge to overcome now. We weren't closing down Guan Yu Zhou, by the way, so not sure if we're going to get up much further than what we're doing right now. Yeah, we saw that a few times earlier with the Alpine, with I think that was when Norris was behind us. Verstappen gets around Porsche. Attack mode and defend. And Doohan gets back around Albin. Back into P6, where we belonged in the first place.
Last lap.
Verstappen absolutely closing that gap with the DRS. But as we head towards the first chicane, we're okay for now. Nothing crazy happening there. Meanwhile, with Doohan entering the same chicane, Albin this time does not glitch his way ahead of us, and Porsche resumes. Doohan opens his gap behind as well. Closes his gap ahead. Back with Porsche. Remember, Verstappen, Norris, Magnussen, all very used, but Zhou doesn't have very used tires. So Doohan, is he in position to challenge those two ahead? We're going to have one shot. Porsche, 0.4 ahead. We're challenging the two alphas, but we're not going to get around. Porsche takes the win ahead of Verstappen, Norris, Zhou, Magnussen, Doohan. Russell gets up to P8, so he does recover some points. But we do come away with a race victory despite not having the best car today. And our pit stop for Doohan did not work out. It did work out for Porsche. Doohan lost too many positions. The glitch with Albin probably cost us one position, but ultimately the overtake we made to re-overtake him would have been an overtake to overtake Magnussen, but we didn't have anybody else beat, so at best he's fifth.
Wonderful result here for the Williams
him, we probably should have stayed. However, it would have been harder to hold guys off on that hard compound down the stretch than it would be on the softs, but the softs, they don't have much life, as we saw. Verstappen seemed to be fast, though, with 30% life out of his tires. Fastest lap goes to Guan Yu Zhou, but in the drivers, 280 for Porsche now. Doohan gets 215, and Verstappen closes him up a little bit there in third place. And in the constructors, we do outscore Red Bull by 10 points, extending the lead. The number of races gets smaller. So we're getting down to it. Alpine moves into third ahead of Ferrari, who do not score points today, or McLaren for that matter. Mercedes gets one. Alfa Romeo with a huge day, jumping to 102 points after scoring 23 points. That's big. I mean, that matches Red Bull. AlphaTauri scores 6 with 61. Haas and Aston Martin remain at 3 and 2. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.